Hi, this is Vicki from Grandma B's Junk Journals. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to talk about collage art and what is it. I have several videos that we work on different collage projects for junk journals. And so today I want to maybe review some of those projects that I did and then talk about what is collage art and maybe give you some ideas what to look for, and maybe how to begin your process to becoming a collage artist. And then I'm going to start putting out some videos uh, making collage projects using different projects for each video. So the first thing I want to do is take you through some of my projects that I have created. I love collage art. I just absolutely love it. And if you have watched any of the videos that I've put out, you will notice that most of mine have a little vintage vibe. Also, vintage children thrown in there. I'm a retired elementary school teacher, and I'm just always drawn to children, children's books, children's images, and I really just love to use those. I also love to use nature images and vintage and antique photographs. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of my projects, and I have videos out there that have gone through the process of how to make these. So this right here is a pocket that can be used in a junk journal. And so in the pocket, you know, there's some vintage photographs, bookmarks, but this is the collage right here. And I have layered different kinds of papers and lace and the photograph, a stamp. So this is one idea for collage. Another idea is a tag, a photo card, journaling card. This, I have taken an image from a wildlife book and made that my focal point. And then I have layered it with different images from magazines, some different textured papers, ribbons, a little sequin. So lots of different things. Now, some people, when they collage, they only like to use a couple of different items, maybe 3, maybe 4 different items. I like to use typically 3 to 5 items, but sometimes I will kind of go overboard and I'll add a lot more, trying not to make my piece of art too busy. Okay, because you can make it too busy. Sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. Here is another. I've also done a video on creating these little tags. Now, this little image, this is my focal point here, and this is actually a bookmark, and I will be making, that's going to be one of the videos that I create with this collage series that I'm going to be doing. And each time I'm going to be using different focal points, different ideas for it. And for this project here, I used little bookmarks. I got these bookmarks off of Temu, and they were very inexpensive, and I have had so much fun using them in my different collage projects. Now you'll see that I have the girl image, I've got some lace, a little pearl, I've stamped some text here. I've ripped out some text here from a book. There is a piece of flower ephemera. So there's lots of different elements with this collage project here. And here is another one that I'd love to make these. I really love to do that. Now, I've created some different clusters, and I've also made videos on that, and I will be making more videos. A cluster is just a small project of clustering different items together, and you can put this on a journal page. You could clip it, you could glue it, you could make it into a pocket, you know, just put some glue on the back here, and then you would be able to stick, use it as a pocket. So here I've used lots of different elements. I have a page from a vintage children's book, lace, another book image, some more lace and ribbon and button. I've decorated a clip. So there's lots of different elements on this cluster. On this cluster, it's very similar. I've used a lot of the same things from the same vintage children's book. This one here is one of my favorites. This little girl is a sticker, and I think I got those from Temu as well. It came, let's see, quite a large. I'm going to just show you my stash here. I have a box of these, and I don't know how many I got in that package that I purchased, but there were a ton, and they're just so cute. I absolutely love them. I have used them for so many different projects. So definitely worth the money, and they were not expensive at all. So any kind of stickers that you love, whatever theme that you love, start collecting those. And so I have layered it. This looks like I might have maybe 5 things. So I have the base of it, and let's see. So I have the base, I have a vintage stamp, I have a piece of book page here, just a regular piece of designer paper here, and then I did a little bit of sewing, and that was it. I did ink up the edges just to make it look vintagey, and that's what the back looks like. Now you could just glue this right onto a page. So that it's just a little embellishment that you can use in your journaling or other books. And these little fashion designs, I don't remember where I got these, maybe Amazon, I'm not quite for sure, but I need to use these more. I've only actually used a couple of them. So that's in my stash and to use. Now, here is another example of a collage, and this is actually, it's a photo or a journaling tag, and this one I only just used some lace, so it really, I should not have picked it. That was not a good example. I'm sorry, I just grabbed it from my stash. Let's move on. This one. So this is a pocket that I created. I think I did this on another video, but I made a little collage right here on the little flap here. And so there's only, I think, maybe 3-4 elements here. You have your text page, and then some designer paper, and a little lace, and then a vintage photo, and that was it. So there's not a lot. I did sew around it, but it's very simple, but I love it. And so you don't have to add a lot, but if you have a sewing machine, adding a little bit of sewing to it, that always just adds a little, pizzazz to it. Now here's another type of collage. This is a pocket that you could put in your journal. Again, there's not a lot to it. You have your text. This one has a piece of fabric and then a piece of lace. I did put a little cardstock that I used to stamp, and then here is a vintage photo. And then we have this. This isn't a big collage. There's only actually 3 items. You've got some text, you have some lace, and then a photo. But I would call this a collage because I'm layering on top of, on top of things. Now, last week I had some friends over, and we were making cards. And I wanted to do collage cards. I have not made collage cards before, but I thought, why can't I? I should be able to, right? So I did the same thing as I would for a junk journal collage. I just put it on a card base, okay? So I have 3 different layers here. So I've got 2 mats and then my base, and then I've just kind of layered it up with some designer paper, music sheet, a little butterfly. I've stamped a sentiment there. I used a stamp here. And then this little girl is from one of my vintage sewing patterns that I've cut out. I love to use those. So you can always find those at thrift stores. And I'm just gonna give you another example, one more of my cards. Let's see, this one is kind of busy, but I love it anyways. So this one has a plain card. So it has the different layers. I've used a plain card, some lace, another pattern girl, some, lace here, a little sticker. And so there's lots of different elements to this, but I love it. I think it's really cute, and I can't wait for a birthday to come up so I can send it out. Now, in the videos that will be coming up, in one of the videos, I'm going to create some greeting cards like this with collage, and so that will be one of the projects. Another project will be types of clusters. Okay. Another project will be types of pockets using different kind of items. Now, one of the people that I follow on YouTube is Marguerite Miller, and her name is right here. And she is a great collage artist. I've been watching her for quite a while. She's got lots of videos, and she has one playlist. It is a series of these prompts, and she uses, I think there was 50 prompts, and she makes it's a card, it's a collage like the size of an index card, a different collage using each of these prompts. And so what I'm going to do, and I will link her a video in the description so you can click over and follow her as well. But as I am putting out videos with these little projects that I was talking about, I'm going to try to use some of Marguerite's prompts along with using up some of my children's books. In every video that we do collage, I want to pull out one of my vintage children's books off my shelf because I have so many of them. And one of the things that I always talk about on my videos is get those books off your shelf and use them up. And so that's what I have done with a lot of these little projects. Well, I'm going to challenge myself, and on these upcoming videos of collage projects, one thing that I'm going to use in each of the projects is images from a different book that I have, because these images are so absolutely adorable, and they are not meant to be on my shelf collecting dust. They are meant to make beautiful craft art items. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to follow Marguerite's prompts. I know I won't get through all of them, of course, but I'm going to choose one of her prompts. I'm going to at least use something in one of my books, and then there'll be several other items that we will use to complete our prompt or our projects. Now, I do want to talk to you before we go. I want to talk to you about some different elements of collage art. And so I've given you some ideas here on what you can make, but I also want to go through and kind of talk about more what it is. And then I'm going to link a PDF to this video so that maybe you can take a look at it, this document, and maybe you can, get inspired, start getting into your stash, finding some things, collecting some things so that you can start your collage journey as well. So, what is collage art? An artistic technique of arranging and gluing diverse materials, such as paper, texture papers, ephemera, fabric, photographs, lace, buttons, ribbons, paint, magazines, newspapers, digital images, and so much more. How do you do it? How do you create collage art? Well, number one, start collecting. Start collecting, okay? Tear out and save papers that you like. Cut and tear out images or photos that you like. brainstorm about different things. What do you want to collage about? Do you want to collage nature or children or clowns or baking, or maybe you're a sewer, maybe you want to, maybe you want sewing to be your theme. So think about that. Watch YouTube videos. There are lots of people out there doing collage. Like I said, Marguerite, she is great. My friend Carrie, the paper monkey, I noticed because I watch Carrie's videos all the time. She is starting to do more collage, and I know that she is watching tons of videos because she drops names all of the time about all of these fantastic people that she's watching. So go out and watch Carrie the Paper Monkey, some of her collage things, because she's very talented, and she also has a lot of names available that she shares with all of us that, we can go out and watch on their videos. Go to Pinterest or Instagram. Check out who is doing what out there with collage. Now, what are the rules? There's not rules. There's guidelines maybe that will help you, but they're not really rules that you have to follow. But there are tips and tricks on how to become better. Collage is a flexible form of art creations. Now, just to be true here, I got a lot of this information online, Mr. Google out there. I just Googled and I came up with a lot of these answers or a lot of this information for you. Key principles: use the rule of thirds for your composition. What is that? Divide an image into 9 equal zones using 2 horizontal and 2 vertical. So the rule of thirds in photography, you've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So use that rule of thirds. Layering. Build depth by layering material, starting with background elements and adding smaller details, highlights, or shadows on top. Repetition. Repeat your shapes, colors, or motifs to create themes. Themes like what, I had talked about before. Contrast and balance. Use a mix of large and small, light and dark, or rough and smooth textures. What is your focal point going to be? That's your central idea, your idea of interest. So my focal point on this is this little girl. My focal point on this collage is this girl. Let's see. My focal point on here is this girl. Now there's lots of other elements going on here, but I want your eye to come right to this little girl. Let's see what else. Again, there's lots of things going on here, but I want your eye to go right to the little girl, okay? All right, and I'm going to turn my page here. And so the process, what's the process of collage art? Well, you're going to gather your material, collect. I've been collecting for years and years and years. I've used all of my stash for creating junk journals and all of these different collage items that I like to put in my junk journals. But I'm also starting to move in maybe a different direction and create smaller things that I can send out to friends and maybe not focus on, having to supply myself with junk journals and some of the big projects. I'm trying to scale down and still do the art, but maybe do it a little bit more manageable for me. So the things that I'm creating, I'm going to be sending out to friends and family members. So gather your materials. Ask your friends and family members. Go on Facebook Friends and say, hey, I'm collecting stickers of bakery items, or I'm collecting vintage photos, or I'm collecting, whatever it is that you think you need to help build your stash. Ask your friends for. Go to thrift stores, go to auctions, go to antique stores, go to dollar stores. There's lots of places out there that are, you can get things very reasonable. Oh, and don't forget the yard sales, garage sales, your library sales, those kind of things too. So you're going to gather your material, arrange your pieces before gluing to test your layout. If you like the way it looks, then glue it down. Don't overthink it. Okay, don't overthink it. So whatever it is that you are using for your base, just start layering on top of it. Move it around. Don't glue it until you know exactly that it's the way you want it. Then just start gluing it. And you also might want to take a picture of it. If you get everything layered up, laid out how you want it, and it's perfect, take a picture of it, because you have to take those things off in order to glue them back up. And you don't want to forget how beautiful you had it. You want it to, be glued down exactly how you had it. So I always like to take a picture. All right. Things that you're going to need. Well, some glue, right? So there's tons of different kind of glues, and I've talked about this on lots of my videos. The kind of glue that I like is Fabri-Tac. I use for fabrics, lace, and ribbons. I like the art glitter glue, the PVA glue. I use hot glue a lot for heavier things. I use Mod Podge, glue sticks. Now there's a couple different kinds of glue sticks. I do like this Craft Bond from Elmer's. This is pretty good. I did notice a lot of collage artists are using this, and I just actually bought this. I have not had a time to use it, but from what I hear, it's a really good glue, so I'm hoping that that will work out well. And then, you need some, you don't need, but maybe you could use some different assorted fabrics or laces or ribbons. And let's see, double-sided tape, you might use some of that. You might use some glue dots. The different mediums, maybe you want some drawing tools, so maybe some colored pencils, markers, chalks, different colored pens, maybe inks. If you are stamping, you're going to want some inks, paints, chalks. I like to use the Distress ink. The Distress ink is what I use to put around the edges, to give it the vintage look. Other things that you might want to use could be paintbrushes, die cutting machines. If you have, those in your, in your studio or your craft room, maybe you want to cut out some images to use as layers. So stamps with ink pads, spray inks, stencils, and then this word right here. I actually had Marguerite uses this word, and I knew what she meant because she was working on the project, but I had not heard that term used before. You'll need a substrate. What is that? That is your foundational surface material like cardstock, postcard, greeting card, tags, book pages, or other items that you want to build your collage on. So I always called it just a base. This is my base. This is a postcard. I'm using that as my base. Well, if you want to use the fancy term, it's called substrate. So this postcard would be my substrate. This mini file folder would be my substrate. Let's see what else. This greeting card would be my substrate. Now, you can call it that. That's a pretty fancy word. Or we can call it, our foundational piece or our base piece. So this is just some information that I wanted to share with you in case you are a newbie to the collage world. And I'm going to link a PDF to this video in case you might want to download it and keep it just to refer back. And so the next video that I am going to create for you, we're going to make a collage piece like this. It will be on an index card, and you can craft along with me. So what you're going to need is you could use an index card, maybe a 5x7, 4x6, just a piece of cardstock. Okay, just a rectangle, any kind of a rectangle. You could collect, maybe you have a book page, okay? Any kind of old book page is fine. Maybe you have a piece of scrapbook paper, okay? Maybe you have some magazine pictures. You could grab a couple of those. You don't have to, but maybe you might want to get a piece of lace or ribbon, a piece of fabric, a button. If you do that, you're going to want like a hot glue gun, I would say. Fabri-Tac sometimes will work, but maybe you want, I used a stencil here. Maybe you'll want, if you have a stencil in your stash, or some stamps. So tomorrow I will be putting out a video and we will be creating this. Now you can always replay it and just work on it and practice, but this is what we are going to use. And then for my focal point though, I will be taking at least one image from this big little kitty book, and I am going to create a collage card, and I'm going to choose one of these, and I have not decided which one of these that I'm going to choose. It will be a surprise because I'm not quite for sure. I haven't really thought it out that much. I just know that I'm going to choose one of these. We're going to make a card this size. I'm going to choose at least one image from here, and then I'm just going to grab some other items from my stash. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. So if you subscribe and like this video, you should be notified when my next video comes up, and you'll be able to collage along with me. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some ideas, and you'll be able to look at that list of things that might help you get started as well. So thanks for coming along. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.